If you crochet but you've wanted to try knitting but felt a little intimidated by it, then this method might be for you. And that's because there's a lesser known technique called knooking, which is basically knitting with a crochet hook. Knooking uses a crochet hook that has what looks like the eye of a needle on the other end. This is where you place a cord or a stretch of yarn. And that cord holds your live stitches just like a knitting needle would. This week I went down a major rabbit hole trying to learn all I could about knooking, and I learned a lot. So this is more of a conversation just to get the ball rolling. So with that said, knooking is not a new thing. It gained its popularity back in around 2010, 2011, when a book was published by Leisure Arts called Learn to Nook. As far as I can tell, it was designed as a beginner guide for crocheters, as an alternative to knitting with 2 needles or as modern knitting. And the good news is you can still find copies of it today. I found it on Amazon, US and UK, and you can get it as a digital download. And that's what I did. I bought a copy for my iPad. There are video tutorials for this, and I'll be talking about that more later. But what came as a big surprise for me was that the book and the videos both use different techniques, which is a whole nother thing. But I am going to show you both versions because you may find that one method suits you better than the other. For the hooks, I bought an inexpensive set on Amazon. It came with 3 different sizes, 2.75, 4, and 6 millimeter. I will put the link in the description box. A couple of things to keep in mind. These do not come with a cord, so I just used a stretch of yarn instead of a cord. Also, the hooks themselves do not have any kind of labeling on them to let you know what size they are. So you'll want to make sure that you keep a note of it somewhere. I'm doing this video from the perspective of a crocheter. I'm going to assume that you know how to crochet and are familiar with a crochet hook. So just like with crocheting, you can have a couple of different grips. You can either do it underhanded or overhanded, whichever is more comfortable for you. Now, if you're familiar with my channel, you know that I like to tension my yarn very close to my forefinger. I keep my finger very close to the hook, and I'll be doing the same in this demonstration. Now, the good news is there are videos available if you work with your knife hold, with your finger outstretched, that I'll link to in the description box below the video. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to show you 2 styles of knooking so you can decide which one suits you best, but both of them start the same way with a starting chain. That's going to be your cast on. So wrapping the yarn around my fingers, pulling the yarn through the center, I'm creating a slip knot, just like with crochet. So far we have a slip knot on the hook, and we have our yarn attached, or you might have a cord, and this is where we'll be keeping our live stitches. Now I'm going to forewarn you, it is very difficult at first to maintain tension, because instead of having all of your loops on a needle, they're going to be sitting on this stretch of yarn, which is a lot more narrow. So you may find, like I did at the very beginning, I nearly gave up because I thought it's just not worth it. But once I got the hang of it, it was a lot easier to work with it. So I do recommend to try to stick with it, don't give up, okay? So to begin, we're going to create a chain. I'm going to do a chain of 10. Again, I'm assuming you know how to crochet. So very important here, the yarn on the hook does count as a stitch. And if you're familiar with Tunisian crochet, if you've ever done that before, then this is going to feel very familiar to you because we're going to be pulling up loops that are going to stay on the hook. This is where the 2 styles come in. I'm first going to show you the Western style, and then I'm going to show you the Japanese style. Now, just to clarify, this doesn't mean that this is where this style originated. From what I can tell, it's just terms borrowed from knitting. And I'll be sure to add a link in the description box from where I saw this. First, I'm going to show you the Western style, and this is the one that's taught in the Leisure Arts book. Quick reminder, the loop on the hook does count as a stitch. I did 10 chains, so I want to make 10 loops, or in this case, 10 knit stitches. For this version, we're going to be creating the knit stitches with a yarn under. Very important. Starting in the second chain from the hook, go in and scoop your yarn through. Going into the chain, be careful not to do a yarn over. If you crochet a lot, that's your natural inclination. Yarn under the hook, pull through. all the way across. To begin our next row, we need to scoot our stitches onto the line. Turn. And what I like to do is hold onto the very first loop as I'm working to make sure that I don't make this too tight. Very easy as you're trying to get everything back in place. Pull enough yarn or your cord so you can easily work, but be sure to leave plenty on the other side so your stitches don't fall off. I would also recommend that you keep something pointy and thin because as you're practicing, you're going to find that these loops tighten up on you. So here's our loop. This is the left leg and the right leg. To continue making knit stitches, we need to take our hook and enter from left to right. So as it's facing you, we're going in like this. Tensioning the yarn, making sure it's in the back of the work. Taking the hook, going through from left to right, still yarn under, pull up a loop. Left to right, go in, scoop. See how it tightens up? Left to right, scoop. What I found really useful here, if it's getting way too tight like this, just take the hook, then go through that way, and scoop. And I'm going to continue doing that. Left to right, scoop. Before moving on to the next row, pull out your line or your cord and then scoot your stitches back onto the line. Turn. The easiest way to know that you have everything in the right place, your hook and your active yarn will be right next to each other. If your active yarn is over here, you're not in the right spot. If you continue doing knit stitches like this, you're going to get the look of a garter stitch. For the purl stitch, we're working in the reverse order. We're now going to do yarn over and put the hook in from right to left. And even more important, the active yarn needs to stay in front. Just like knitting, you want to find a way to hold that yarn in front with your forefinger, middle finger. I'm not very good at that. I'll show you how I do it. Yarn in front, right to left, yarn over, pull through. Okay, yarn in the front, right to left, and the yarn is over the hook, and what I like to do is just scoop it and pull it through. Because of the way I tension my yarn, it always wants to go to the back. So what I do, I just make sure that my hook is behind it as I work the stitch. Can you see that? So technically it's just the same as if you have it in front like this. Right to left. And then don't scoop. Make sure the yarn is above the hook. And then you can catch it and pull it through. Yarn in front. Work right to left. Yarn over the hook. Pull it through. remove the line, scoot your stitches. If you continue alternating between knit and purl stitches, you're going to get the stockinette stitch. To bind off or cast off, you're going to continue on doing the knit stitch in the same way. Yarn is behind the work, going in, left to right, yarn under to make your first stitch. Going to the next one, left to right, yarn under, pull through, but now to bind off, pull it through the previous loop. So essentially a slip stitch. Left to right, scoop, pull through the previous loop. For the Japanese Eastern style, let's call it method 2, again 10 chains. And I think you're going to like this one a little bit more. It's a lot easier because it's more like crocheting. For this version, we're doing yarn overs for the knit stitch. So going into the second chain from the hook, 1, 2, go in, yarn over the hook, pull through. Oh, just as a quick reminder, if you skipped over version 1, the first loop that was on the hook does count as a stitch. So if you did 10 chains, you're going to want to see 10 loops when you're finished. In, yarn over the hook, pull through, all the way across. Scoot your stitches onto the line, turn, try to hold on to that very first stitch as you are getting back into position. That way it won't get too tight. You want enough yarn on this side so your stitches don't fall off, but plenty here so you can easily work. And you know you're in the right place if your hook and your active yarn are next to each other. If your active yarn is over here, you're in the wrong place. Active yarn is in the back. We're going in from right to left and yarning over. Easy. Very, very easy. Pull the line. Okay, let's scoot over and try the purl stitch. The active yarn is in the front, and now we're doing things in reverse. Now we're back to yarn under and going in from left to right. And when we do this, we're going to do a little bit of a twist, and that's because we have to match what we did on the front. Okay, yarn is in the front. We're going in from left to right, but for this version, you want to twist the stitch. We're doing this twist to get the stitch in the right orientation. You want to see an upside down letter U or a horseshoe. And now we do a yarn under. Scoop the yarn and pull it through. And again here, we're creating a purl stitch, so you want to see a horizontal bar. If you don't see a horizontal bar, try again. Yarn is in the front, going in from left to right, and twist. Yarn under, pull through. Hook is behind the yarn, twist, yarn under, pull through. And again, you just want to see this horizontal bar and vertical lines on the other side. That way you know you're doing it right. Depending on how you tension your yarn, you may be able to find a way with your forefinger or middle finger to push your yarn to the front. I can't do that easily, so I just make sure that my hook is behind the yarn as I'm working. Twist, pull through. Twist, pull through. Scoot and turn. Just to double check, you want to make sure that your loops are not twisting. You want to see an upside down U or a horseshoe. If you continue alternating between knit and purl stitches, you're going to get the stockinette stitch. To cast off or bind off, we're back to the knitting side. We're going to do a knit stitch. Yarn is in the back. Going in from right to left, yarn over, pull through to create your first stitch. Again, go through, yarn over, pull through, and now to bind off, we're essentially doing a slip stitch. Pull that loop through the previous one. Next, yarn over, pull through, slip stitch. Yarn over, pull through, slip stitch. All the way across. Release, and fasten off using your favorite method. So tell me, what do you think? Are you going to get yourself a nook and start nooking? I really do think it's easier if you have experience in both. If you're familiar with how to crochet but have an understanding of knitting anatomy or the knit stitch anatomy. And I say that because it is so hard for the naked eye, if you're not familiar with knitting, to understand when you've twisted your stitches. For me personally, I do know how to knit. What really appeals to me about this is being able to work in the round. I actually bought this book last year. These patterns are worked in the round, and I've been really slow to get back into it because I have to relearn how to work with double-pointed needles or circular needles. It's not that hard, but it has been quite a while since I've done it. So that's going to be my next step. I'm going to learn how to work in the round, which should be really easy with the second method, the Japanese Eastern style, as well as learning how to take nooking and apply it to knitting patterns. That's another reason why I bought this book, because it does have 3 patterns, shows you how to read a pattern. So I'm hoping that once I get a handle of that, I can apply it to this book. As a quick reminder, I put a reference guide in the description box. You can take a screenshot of that. Also, you'll find links to other tutorials, ones that really helped me that I think will help you too. Now, if you'd like me to do some more videos about this, I'm happy to do so. Just let me know in the comments what you'd like to learn more about. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Oh my goodness. Hi. Yeah, you're gonna have to scoot down a little. Here, just go down there, just a touch. There you go. Perfect. Just stay right there. That's my boy. No, that's not going to work. That's not going to work, sweetie. Oh, whoa. This is Old Man, short for Grumpy Old Man. He's an outdoor cat that has decided that he wants to be an indoor cat. Got into a bit of a skirmish outside. Not sure what happened, but he's doing great. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to get down. Oh, he's a big boy. Oh, oh, oh.